Good afternoon. Uh, Wanted to come in and comment. It's been a big, wow, a lot of toys coming out, and a lot of the companies now are doing previews of what's coming out so that you can do pre orders. And it's something that really took form and grew a life of its own during the pandemic. And it seems to be a way that they can go ahead and generate some business and then have the other orders come out. Um, Depending on which service you use. Some of them get them really early and on time. Sometimes it goes straight to the test, test, test. Can you hear me now? Seems I lost the mic for there. But anyway, I went crazy during the pandemic, really shopping and buying a lot of pre orders and stuff like that. And towards the end of the year, a lot of them came in, and I continued my madness, just sucked into the whole game of toys and collecting and even customizing. So, what I want to show you is some of the stuff that started coming in this last couple of weeks. I'm gonna have to pick up some overtime with the stuff, but I'm really happy with the sculpts and the toys that are coming out. So less about me. We're gonna turn over to the toys. So bear with me. I'm just sitting in the living room chatting today, trying to position and make sure you guys don't see my dirty clothes. Not dirty clothes. Excuse me. The clean clothes that need to be folded, but I'm passing on that till later. So let's swing you around. Let me go this way. So I've had this for a little bit, but I'm going to use this for comparison. This is the Marvel Select Hulk. I have a custom head on there sent to me. I got this from Custom Cave. Excuse me, uh, Casting Cave. Sorry, Casting Cave. And I love this head sculpt. It's a very classic Hulk look, and I love this. Let me tell you, this Marvel Select Hulk, one of my best figures of the year. It is a great sculpt. I think it gives a real good massive size to the Hulk. To give you some comparison, if you have this Hulk here, and then I got the 20th anniversary Marvel Legends Hulk, you can just look at the size comparison side by side. Hulk, Hulk Jr., good boy. I love this figure. This is the one I'm going to use with my Avengers, but I wanted to show you that um, mobility issues and stuff like that, but enough for posing and setting up on a shelf. It's great. But I really love the accessories that came with the 20th anniversary Hulk. Let me see. And I love that Paul Harding sculpt head. It gives it that 70s Hulk feel, especially from like the Savage Hulk. So I love this one too. It really matches well. This is the 80th anniversary Thor. Matches well with them. And of course, with Captain America. This is the new 20th anniversary Marvel Legends. This is not the shield it comes with. I borrowed this from another Captain America figure I have. And I'm going to have to buy a second one of these because it comes. This is another Paul Harding head sculpt. And he did this whole concept with the 70s era comics, which is my era. You know, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and that's what I collected and read. And I loved his take on it on a digital sculpting site that he did. And you can check him out, Paul Harding on Instagram, Harding Studios. And the sculpts were tremendous. He did them on a computer, on a 3D computer graphics, and he did all of these ZBrush sculpts. And then I guess Hasbro reached out to him, and they actually based on it. And he does a wonderful comic-based Steve Rogers. And so I don't have that head. I have that out in the garage because I'm holding it so I can get the second body, and I'm gonna have a unmasked version of the Avengers, George Perez version, and John Byrne version is gonna be the ones masked up. So my two favorite artists, classic artists. I have a lot of favorite artists. If I say favorites, please understand I have a lot. You guys all inspire me, and I love each and every one of you. But when I got into the business, or got into the comic collections, John Byrne and George Perez are my ones that I go after and seek all the time. I love this sculpt. I love the colors. This is a classic comic book color. If you look at the 80th anniversary, which I don't have, I was supposed to get it from eBay, but that fell through. But I'm waiting to see if I get the next one. Uh, it's more of an Alex Ross center, which I love as well. But this is just classic cap. This is the cap I grew up on. In line with that, I wanted to share this custom. And, I follow Froosh and I follow Dave Wheeler, Dave Wonder. And he does a Tiny Meng Tuesdays on Twitch and on YouTube. And him and Matt and King Ginger, they go ahead and they customize figures. I've always done a little bit of painting on miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons, things of that nature. I used to do it a lot back in the 90s and early 2000s. I get very busy. I'm a nurse, and right now we're in demand. So we're out there working and going through. And I'm also a CPR instructor, so I teach CPR classes. In between that, I'm trying to get my YouTube channel started. I'm trying to go through and follow my dreams and be into some sort of the creative process, as well as, being a husband and a father. And multitasking is the name of the game. So I let a lot of my creative stuff go to the wayside as I focused on stuff. And when I got bit by the bug during the pandemic, I found that I could make time to go back to customizing. And it's a little scary because I have to get back into that swing of things. But this was one I just couldn't resist. And this is Marvel Legends Wonder Man. And I made some just kind of head swaps and different things in materials. And this jacket, which I just love, the Hunter, the 70s sports jacket, is from GPS Lot, and I got it from eBay, and that's recommended from Dave Wonder and Dave Wonder, and then this was something that I found, and so I can't have Wonder Man without the Beast. So I ended up going on eBay and finding the grayscale Beast, and you can see I'm still in the process of painting him to make him the bouncing 70s, 80s era Beast. I apologize. I'm doing all this handheld sitting on the couch. But let me show you his head. So I had two heads in this set. It came with a Jim Lee type growling head, and then the classic 70s, 80s era George Perez, John Byrne style head. So I tested my painting skills on the Jim Lee head. And you can see that here. See if it there focuses a little bit. I haven't put in the eyes. I think it looks better with just the white eyes. And I was experimenting with how dark I want to go with the hair. And I was very happy with the work that came out of this one. So, a little rusty, but I still got some of the skills. And now this is where I'm at with the George Perez style smiling beast, the bouncing, bubbly beast that I knew and grew up with in the Avengers. So that's going to be the buddy pair. I really think if we're going to talk about buddies, Wonder Man and Beast, best team up in comics, right next to Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. Would love to see a crossover with those four going out and having some beers. Also with customizing, looking at some of the blogs and some of the videos online, I love the retro Spider-Man line because I'm a big, again, 70s and 80s Marvel comics collector. I also collect DC, but I love the Sinister Six and the Sinister Syndicate that was a showcase, I think, in the late 80s. Always love the Shocker, the way they designed his costume. And I think for me, the voice I hear is what I hear on the Amazing Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends cartoon when they had the Shocker and he had that little reverb to his voice. This figure is awesome, but it didn't have these lines etched in on it. And I apologize. Here we go. So I went ahead and saw that online and on some of the sites, they use a Gundam marker. It's a little liner that goes through. So what I did was I did the Gundam marker. And if you can see, let me tell you, it sounds easy, but you got to look, and I'm getting old. You got to look to find those little suckers. The lines that are embedded in there is already grooved into the figure, but then you got to go ahead and get it in line. And sometimes I did this over a course of a couple of days because I got tired of tracing. But I then took a wash, and it was like, kind of like a light brown wash over it to give that leathery look because it was more of a yellow, uh, kind of cartoony yellow. And I just loved the way this figure came out. So this one's almost done. All I have to do is spray a matte finish on it, and then that'll be done. And that's going to go up in my display. I'm still working on the display. I shop on eBay all the time, and and I can't remember the site, but I'll find it and post it on my site. And you can see some of my sites on there, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Twitch. And I'm a big Walt Simonson or Simonson. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I've always pronounced it Simonson when I read it. But he does a wonderful Thor. And one of the best offbeat tales was when he had Thor turn into a frog. And this wonderful piece of plastic, somebody did a 3D sculpt of it. It comes in pieces, so you have to actually paint it and then piece it together. It is shaped so that you could get some limited mobility, but because I wanted to make sure that it was set, I went ahead and put glue on it. So this, I just have to put some fine details like the eyes and everything, and this is going to be in my display as the Thor frog. Again, I'm just chilling on the couch. I do apologize for the bad camera angles. I am working on my setup, so you're going to have a lot of things coming up in soon. Also, from the same time that I got that Thor frog, I get so frustrated with some of the pre-order stuff. Hasbro Pulse has some of the coolest site-specific, and this is exclusives. Um, they had some GI Joe exclusive. They have the scroll exclusive, which I was able to find secondhand. I missed out when they had it on order, and then I got it secondhand. It's $15, like $14.99, $15 on the site, and it's a great army builder of the scrolls. But every time that goes on, if you're not a Hasbro Pulse member or an exclusive member where you pay an annual fee, then they get it first, and then an hour later it opens up to everybody else. And there's quite a few scalpers and companies that go through and they do that, and that's fine. I'm not going to rain on their parade, but it makes it frustrating that every time they do come up, it's hard to get one. And from time to time, they'll send out a marketing thing to say, "Hey, it's back in auction. You can go ahead and go online." And I still can't figure out how some of these guys are able to fill in all their slots when you can only buy two at a time. But I love the Shield Agents. It's a 2-pack, and it has 3 or 4 different heads. So it's a real good army builder because you get 2 packs of the 2 sets of the 2 packs, and you have all 4 heads. You have bodies for them and everything. Well, needless to say, being a 70s and 80s buff of Marvel, I had to find Dum Dum Dugan. And they did issue him once before, and I found somebody who did the sculpt so that it's fit for the new 6-inch figures of Marvel Legends. And here's the Dugan sculpt. So this was a 3D sculpt that they did. I painted it. Let me see if I can. I've got to put one more coat of brown on the hat uh, before I go ahead, and I'm going to show you something. I found a loose Nick Fury, and just so those of you that may want to do it later, if I find enough of the bodybuilders for the 6-inch when they finally come through, this is what the head looks like, or the pin on the head for the old Marvel Legends Nick Fury. So it's good enough. If I put some tack on it, it'll hold it. But the head looks a little small to me. It might work in a display or something. But I'm going to try and see if I hold out for that other one. But I am looking for some other bodies that I can put it on. Good Lord. And this is hard to put back in. And it's missing. I got this loose. It wasn't too expensive, like $6. But it's missing the gun. So somebody took this and used it for parts. Still a good figure. And for display, and then when you're going to use it for fodder and building up. Have you ever bought a figure, even a deluxe figure, just for some of the bits that come in the box? If I had more money, I would buy a bunch of these Doctor Stranges just to get the portal. The portal that was made famously seen in Endgame, so you can make your figures pop up and everything. I love the figure. Don't get me wrong. This is the Defender Strange, and it seems like there's going to be multiple versions of Doctor Strange in this multiverse of madness. And this Defender Strange is a lot similar to my Mezco Strange, which he's dressed in the Defenders colors from when he was one of the Secret Defenders in Marvel Comics. Now, if you know your Marvel Comics, Doctor Strange was a founding member of the non-team of the Defenders, and so it's just kind of interesting. I like this get up, and I like his little ponytail, but what I've seen a lot of people, because he comes with multiple hands, is using some of the equipment from the Walmart exclusive 70s 80s Strange, which has a Paul Harding sculpt on the head. I do have that one too, but that was a few weeks back. So they have him holding some of these mystic weapons like the wand of Watum, um, the sword that came with Wong. And I love these little backgrounds. And something I think Hasbro has done really good with is giving some backdrops. This is just something that's inside the filler for the boxes, and I think it's great to use for photos and stuff like that. And just nice to use. Uh, One thing that I think we're going to see is that they're changing the boxes, less plastic, and I heard a lot of griping going on, but I'm hoping that the prices do come down. The prices are a little expensive, so it's making me pick and choose more of what I want to do. So right now I'm trying to fill in a 70s George Perez Avengers lineup, and I want to have them set up, and with Jocasta, Hercules, um, Wonder Man, Beast, Miss Marvel, and a lot of those figures are out there, and there's some versions of them that I like and some that I may have to touch up. But like with Miss Marvel, while the Toy Biz one had all those little joints and real skinny looking on the legs and everything, I like the new Marvel Legends binary figure, and I'm thinking I might be able to do a head swap and do some paint color arcs on that and see what's going on. But I'm going to end with one thing. Well, not end, but I'm going to end the toy section with one thing. I'm a big Super Friends fan. That was one of the things I grew up watching Saturday mornings, and then when it went into syndication, whenever they would show it, Challenge of the Super Friends, the Super Friends Power Hours, all of those things. One of the things I loved is when they started featuring some of the old school DC heroes and villains on the Challenge of the Super Friends and things like that. So you had the Legion of Doom, you had the Super Friends, and then they started showcasing some of the and even in the Superpowers era, they started showcasing some of these like Firestorm and stuff like that. One of my favorites, I love the Justice Society, and with them the Injustice Society, and when they had some of those classic villains. But one of my favorite villains was Gentleman Ghost, and he was actually from Earth One with versus the Hawkman. But I found him. What a sweet figure! And believe it or not, this thing is going upwards of $300 to $400 boxed, and not very pricey even loose. This figure I got for $20, all because it has a little nick right here and it's missing the the cane. Good trade off. And since I have a bunch of Doctor Strange, Doctor Fate is a big character that I'm in love with, and so I have a bunch of Doctor Fates. I started looking at putting together a mystical photo shoot with these figures. So, Gentleman Ghost, Doctor Strange, Doctor Fate, Dead Man, the Phantom Stranger, which I have in box, and I'll probably be looking for a loose one unless I break open the box. I'm not. I'm not too sure about that. I'm usually an open box collector, but there are some that I have for storage reasons on pegs in my garage, um, and I'm running out of space. But I like to open them up when I get the right display cases and stuff for them. One thing that I've been thinking about, and might play a hand. I do have some doubles on boxes with the switch to the cases being no plastic and closed boxes. Some people are not going to be able to do um, on card collections anymore. So I might see some of those values go up, and that might be worth it in trade or even selling to get some more materials for what I need. Um, some of the sites that kind of inspired me, get me back into collecting and playing with my toys and displaying and doing some customizing. The Foosh Toy Galaxy, Dan Lawson and Toy Galaxy does a wonderful job. The Foosh with Robo and Veebs and all of them, tremendous. I mean, the amount of detail and the stuff that they go in inspires me and entertains me, and they're really a fun bunch of guys. I look forward to starting to hit the convention scene and seeing some of those guys as they come by and interact with them, and to get information and stuff and learn from them because it's so interesting when you see some of the techniques and things that they do. Um, I also like Shawtimus Prime and what's the other Dan? He does the He-Man stuff. I watch him because I was collecting some He-Mans for my brother. Um, and I tell you what, he does a good job. I'm trying to think of his name now, but he does a great job as well. I love Cincy nerd. Um, I love watching him doing his toy runs and everything like that. Who's it now? There's a real good toy photographer that I see on YouTube from time to time. I'll have to tag them all when I go through and do the online portion. But he does a lot of stuff where he does toy photography. Um, can't think of his name. Wonderful work and a lot of tricks that he shows. So I'm going to be working on my toy photography, and you'll see some of that and go and go through. On the art side, Jazza does a wonderful job, and he is so creative. That guy is just a ball of energy. And Jazza is from Australia, and the amount of projects and things that he does, he's a wonder. He's made me go back and look at some of my work and actually, focus on kicking my game up. I'm looking forward to hitting the conventions. The first convention I'll be going back to is MegaCon here in Orlando. I'm based out of Florida, and MegaCon is the big convention. I go every year. I missed. I started going. Let me see. My wife and I got in '92. So really, I think it was like '93 or '94 was the first year I went to MegaCon, and I have not missed a MegaCon since, except for the pandemic. I did not go for the last 2 years, and I'm really looking forward to it. Already arranged to be off on work that whole weekend, and looking forward to going out there and meeting people and going through. Looking forward to seeing Ken Lashley. Um, he's going to be there, and I'm looking forward to see all my friends. And I'm going to be doing some live broadcasts from MegaCon. Um, kind of displaying what's going on and what goes on in the convention, and maybe those people that are still a little iffy. It's I understand the concern. I am a big I'm a nurse, and I understand that masks are needed in certain instances. You have to be wearing masks. You have to be careful, especially if you are around someone who is at risk, because it's still out there, and it's going to go through. It's getting weaker, and that's a good thing. And I don't think it's ever going to disappear. Just like the flu, it never disappeared. You have to get annual flu shots. But it's one of those things where I think we need to start working on how we're going to move forward, and be safe. Don't ridicule somebody. Don't make fun of them if they're wearing a mask. Don't pick on them if they're not wearing a mask. Just stay away from them. You don't know people. I can only trust myself. I can't trust anybody else. I don't know what's going on in their head. But I am looking forward to going out to the shows. I am looking forward to uh, seeing some toys. I am still a comic book collector, but I did a big change this year. I guess to put it in context, while I was growing up, comic books was my way to not escape reality, but to deal with reality. And I had, a rough childhood. Um, and it was something for me where these stories allowed me an outlook and a way to deal with what I was dealing with on a day to day basis. I always cherish them, and there was very many people in my life that introduced me to comic books that were very special and meant a lot to me. My uncles, my father, and there were things that we connected with. Um, Even prior to my father dying a few years back, one of the things that helped us learn to communicate better with each other is he wanted to talk to me about the Avengers, because he was one of the first people to get me started on comic books to make me read better. And he wanted to touch base because he loved watching these Avengers movies, and he wanted to understand some of the stuff that has changed since he was around when Marvel first started. And so, that kind of thing is very special to me. I had a humongous collection. In fact, I've had probably about three or four, and various reasons, taxes, things like that. Whenever I needed to, I would sell my comics. I have I had a huge collection, and I have a huge collection still of omnibuses and trades. Lately, I haven't been reading them. I mean, I still buy them. I was getting them, and I was filing them in my books and my cases, keeping track of where they were, making sure they have bags and boards. But there were so many that I had gotten so far behind that I haven't read. And I really didn't feel like an interest in reading. It wasn't telling me the same stories, it wasn't having the same effect. And I found that a lot of the stuff that went to the top of my pile, or as my things to read, and I did read, were some of the trades and the omnibuses and some of the artist editions. These new artist editions showcasing how they put these old comics together and looking at some of the behind the scenes. And I realized, I had gotten to the point where I have a couple of slab books. I have two still to be slabbed from, I won't say the name, but they've been out there for a year waiting to get graded. Uh, and I'm like, come on now. By now they should have it graded and back. But it's like they take forever. So at that point, I'm saying, wait a minute, they're getting graded. I don't touch the book. I don't get to see the book. I can't read the book other than something as far as a piece of art. It's useless. And so I decided to sell my books. There were some financial things I needed to do, and some things I wanted to do with this channel and with my career as an CPR instructor. So I got rid of all my books, but I kept all my trade paperbacks because there's the same stories, and I can have those things that mean something special to me in a collection that I can read them easier and easier to store and display. So I still have comics. I have pull lists. That's three different stores, and what I do is I read them. And now I've gone and I've actually chose which ones I want to read, and it's been a lot better. I keep up to date with them. I like them, and I'm not opposed to, if there's something in the book that says, hey, this other book had a tie-in or something, I go and I pick it up. My guys at the shops already know. I call them, I text them. They get tired of me sending them pictures. Hey, make sure this is pulled. I still look like Dark Crisis is coming out, so I did pick up that Beyond. What is it? Flashpoint Beyond, and I was interested in it. I want to see Jeff Johns pull together what he was trying to do before. I really think that some of the editorial decisions and some of the stuff going on behind the scenes affected the Watchmen. Um, what was it? The Watchmen crossover that he was doing with the DC universe. I liked it, but I just felt like there was something that was a little disconnect. And I'm hoping that this ties in his story because he's really good. I want to see that he sticks the landing on this one. And I'm really hoping to see what it comes out. Now, not Final Crisis, excuse me, Dark Crisis. I wasn't going to collect. I wasn't going to go pick it up and see it, but they got me. Sons of Guns, DC got me. They're going to do a George Perez tribute covers that's going to be separate from the main line. So it's going to be a variant. So I already called and let them know. Make sure you guys hold that for me. So you guys, my comic shops, which is a comic shop where um, Aaron Halen is over there, and Tyson over at Comic Central, and Dave and Candace over at Blackbird. I already told you guys. You guys are aware. Keep an eye open. The George Perez tribute covers. Speaking of tributes, I love that Avengers had a tribute page to him, and I like that. I like that they're showing that. I like when they do those tributes and everything, but I think the one thing I think I've learned through this whole situation where George Perez has announced that he has a terminal illness and he's going to take the natural way and just deal with it and let nature take its course and spend the time with his family. I really admire that, and he's always been one of my heroes. I just think that it's nice that a lot of the companies are taking time to recognize, and I think they need to honor all of those people that are creators and have made a difference in those companies. So it's something I think they need to look at while they're alive, because when they're gone, it's too late. So I think Milestone has done a really good job with something like that, and also looking at building the next generation with the Milestone Initiative. And Chris Williams, Chris Cross X, one of my friends, one of my I'm a big fan of his. He's going to be working with that with Dennis Cohen and them, and it's just tremendous because here you have some veteran creators working with new talent, and it's a good way to start building the next generation and not throwing the old generation to the wolves. So I like that. I like some of those things that are going on. Comic conventions, working on more customs. I have been looking at setting up my workspace so that I have a painting workspace. I'm going to go back to airbrushing. Something I guess a lot of people didn't know. Well, I think all of you are pretty new. So if you're watching this, one of the things, I've always been an artist. I love art, and comic art seems to be the thing that I'm drawn to the most. I've always sketched. I've always kind of drawn. I'm not always very good. And I know I feel I've grown in talent over the years. I think I have some very good likenesses. I think I have some good things, but I also know that I have things I need to work on. One of the things that drew me back in the day, I used to go to the malls in Wichita, Kansas, when I was stationed in Kansas, and I would visit the airbrush shops. And Corey Eggert had an airbrush shop over there, and I used to watch as he airbrush. And one day he said, "Hey, you come here a lot and you watch what you know." And I told him, I said, "Well, I don't know how to airbrush, but I'm a cartoonist. I like to draw cartoons and stuff, and I'm a big comic fan, and this has always fascinated me." So he told me one day if I bring some of my art over, he'll take a look at it, and he did, and he gave me a shot to airbrush behind there, and he showed me some techniques. And so at the time, he needed someone to help his booth, and I needed someone to teach me how to draw. So it was a mutual um, beneficial agreement where I watched the shop, took his orders, and then made sure he got some time to himself, and he would teach me, and I would stay there in his shop and do those practice exercises while I wait for people to make orders. And um, in time, I was actually painting shirts and stuff like that. So, Corey, if you are out there and listening, I appreciate you. You know I love you, and your dad, may rest in peace, was so good to me and helping and giving me ideas for my art. So thank you to both of you because it was something that gave me a chance to move forward. So I haven't airbrushed in a while, doing the customs and doing some of the painting with spray paint. I've got some of my old airbrushes out and cleaned them up and using them for my custom toys, and got the bug again. So I got to set up a spot in my garage. So I've been doing a lot of organization. So hopefully I can get some of the camera settings and things that I've ordered in place and running. And I've talked to some friends of mine who are in photography and do some camera work, and hopefully we can get something up and running here. So um, I think I rambled on pretty much. So thank you all. I appreciate it. If you've been watching live, please comment. I will review the comments later and answer them later. Uh, like, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter or Twitch. Please make sure that you leave me a comment and follow to see if I have some more stuff. I will be putting things up randomly, and then once everything's in place, I'll start doing a schedule for you guys. Tell me what you want to see. Let me know what you think would be interesting, and God bless. Be safe and be good to each other.